Welcome everyone to the Poplar Grove Community Council. I'm glad you all are able to make it out today. By introduction, my name is Daniel Tuutau. I am the chair of the Poplar Grove Community Council currently. I apologize for not being there in person since I currently reside in Hawaii, but I still have my house there in Poplar Grove, and so still am actively engaged in trying to help our neighborhood there. We'd like to acknowledge the other board members that are currently at the meeting. We have on the computer Jordan Franson, Ricardo is up in the front there. I think we also have Karen and Dan Potts. And then we have a couple of our newer members. I think Bethany and Diego are there. Yep. And then I don't know, did I see Jason walk in as well?
No.
Okay. We have a few members that are not present as well, but we're glad to have support. We'll talk a little bit about the board down the road in this meeting when we have announcements from the council directly. So as we do every month, we'd like to go ahead and head through some of the supportive organizations in our neighborhood. Do we have anyone from the fire department present today?
Doesn't seem like it.
Okay, then I'd like to turn time over to our police department.
Oh, he's here. He's here.
Yeah. How are we all tonight?
Good.
Where do you want me to stand? This part right here by right there's Bert.
I'm moving.
Donuts. Any questions, concerns that we have in our neighborhood that we need to talk about or beware of, or any of that fun stuff? Because all I got are boring numbers. If that's yeah.
Yeah, we noticed the other day we're coming out of Smith's store over here, and there's the 7-Eleven. And big as you please, right in the middle of daylight, they're still doing it. They don't even try to hide they're doing their drug deals there.
Okay.
And I'm wondering why the fire department don't see what they're doing.
Okay, and that's what we're seeing in a lot of places. So, but that's good to know. I hadn't gotten any complaints about this drugs at 7-Eleven, other than the pizza, but. Yeah, we'll be aware on that one. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, so there has been sort of like the people that used to live next door have like migrated to different houses now. And then the house across the street is also like getting that heavy kind of people off the streets, kind of bikes. And
Is that by your place?
Are you pointing to me?
I think
sitting there being
it's pretty much across the street from his house too.
Yeah, that's the corner on the Rapo and 9th West.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've,
yeah.
I busted them about 4 weeks ago. Called off 4 people. And the guys that were originally living in there are back living in there, and they're still running an illegal shop.
Maintenance place.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of what's been happening there.
Okay.
Like we get cars in that back alleyway at all hours of the night, just like.
Yeah,
Revving.
and when you come out the alley, you can't go out that way because they block it off.
So and I hate, you're gonna hate this, but continue to call parking enforcement on those. But also send me a message so I can get zoning to go look at it as well. Because zoning is the one that will at least push the compliance part of, it's supposed to have a shop out in front of your yard and all that stuff.
I'm done talking with parking.
Then send it to me.
Those clowns, I talked to them about 3 weeks ago and they told me, well, we can't do anything about it. I said, you're parking enforcement, aren't you? I said, how the hell can somebody have 4 tents with 4 different vehicles in there working and 11 cars on the street?
It's against some codes. Yeah, definitely.
Something's gotta be done with it.
So-
Because summertime they start dealing.
Yeah, that's what I picked
Yeah.
up, and I bring it up.
The new guy at work's like freaking out or like nervous about something that I'm just trying to like, you're fine.
Maybe.
I'm awkward. And I only bring it up because one of the gentlemen that was like staying in that house, I guess in the alleyway, it's blocked off. I have a neighbor about 3 houses down. He has like a business that he's a handyman. He was pulling out his trailer. He couldn't go one way, and I guess he got into a fight. with the people.
Yeah.
And so then what happened was they thought it was me, because I used to pester them a lot, obviously, as you recall. So they came knocking at my house looking for like answers and like barging on my door and just like, they came like, said like 3 times. And then finally the third time I opened the door and I was like, what do you want? And they're just like, oh, like you're, stop fighting with us, stop calling the police. And I was like, I honestly, since you guys have left the house next door, I haven't needed to call on you. So I don't know why you think it's me.
I'll keep my eye out on that and I'll push it through code enforcement as well as parking enforcement.
Yeah.
To see if we can push it, yeah.
It's getting ridiculous. I mean, I'm walking around with this damn thing, not that I want to, but I have to. And I'm having to park clear down on 6 South half the time.
Do you know how to use it?
Hey, I'd like to bring up, I had a similar incident.
Yeah.
Down from my house, and they were working on their cars, it was like, I don't know, 7 something south on Lake West, and they had all the cars parked out front. And I ended up getting a hold of a lady named Julie Lepore. She went and wrote him a ticket. She's still in that office,
Cheers.
and she said she took it to court. So you can't just kick them out. You gotta get it in court, because whoever owns the house needs to be held accountable. But like I say, they're not doing it anymore at the house that there was a problem on our street.
The
Yeah.
people that own that duplex, they live in California.
Yeah,
And
but taxes are here.
yeah, and if it's a rental, it's easier for us to kind of put pressure on them. So, but Julie is fantastic. She is the code enforcement officer for that district, so for Poplar Grove mainly, and a little bit of Glendale. She is absolutely fantastic. So if,
She fixed, I had people from the city coming and going and just giving it up, and Julie took them to court.
yes,
And
if there's questions about that.
Yeah, my last form of advice for anybody here, what really helped on when I had it like literally next door, because we shared a driveway. It was just civil enforcement, a lot of civil enforcement calls and a lot of parking enforcement calls. And the non-emergency police, and it's like, you gotta like hit them in a 3-pronged kind of attack. Because there's a lot of like wiggle room that they can like weasel out from one jurisdiction into the other one. And then after a while, they build cases, and so they had like an outstanding ticket for the cars that they were working on the street. And then they would park it on the sidewalk, and then, so after a while, the house just started getting pegged with like fees,
Fines,
like
yeah.
like daily fines. For every like time they didn't like clean up or like get rid of their stuff, we'd put pressure on the owner of the house, because it was like a rental. That he just like showed up, kicked everybody out, cleared out the place, and just put the house on sale. And then they all just like migrated.
When it hits your pocketbook, it's sometimes easier to work with. Yeah.
It's just slightly different thing, but still, it's sort of on the street. We live over next to the Tot Lot. And, you know, it's what it is, and sometimes people come over there and, they're, you know, playing too loud of music, and I know there's ordinances on there, but hey, how are you gonna? Most of the time you let it go and whatnot. Well, this was absolutely, you know, through the house, in the house, and it was way big. Enough to where I'm frustrated, she's frustrated, and there's no one around, I can't, you give a call, but by the time somebody calls and gets there, the guy says, you know, this is to turn it down. You know, so I had a conversation with the young man, and he wanted to make it a clear point that he had just gotten out of prison and was free to do whatever the hell he wanted with his music, that there was no law. And I said, well, that's fine. He says, oh, I've seen dead people. I said, I've seen more than you. And then, so don't try and intimidate me, but let's, you know, just turn your thing down. I'm going away. And I walked away. So who are you gonna call? The Ghostbusters or what? I mean.
So you continue to call us, because we do have a loud ordinance, or a loud call, or a loud something.
Noise ordinance.
Yeah, it's a noise ordinance. And after so many times to that house, it can turn into fines.
Well, it's not at the house, it's on the top part.
And same thing, as long as there's someone that we can talk to, we can write a report, and that report just continues to flow. If that person gets hit a couple times, then a fine will occur.
Right,
Yeah,
well, this was just somebody, I think, passing through, so may not see him again.
And in the instances of that example, like, is there like after 10 PM on a weekday, right? Like, what's the?
So parks have curfews, so if it's past the curfew, then they shouldn't be in there at all. But if it's at a house, it really just comes down to time when an officer can get there, and we can contact them. It's just a whole bunch of But there, within the health department, there are some codes, there are some times in the health department and the noise ordinance. So I can tell you guys exactly where.
So I'm not talking about late at night, I'm talking
During the
about,
day,
it's in the middle of the day, and it's right there at the park is, it's not like, he's in the parking spot, it's not like our thing. But yet it's loud enough to where it's disrupting, you couldn't have
Yeah.
watched the.
and if you get really technical with a loud ordinance, you have to have so many decibels.
Yeah.
We don't have any way to measure that.
Right.
So
Well, I
health
think-
department is the one that actually measures that.
Yeah.
Chances of them coming out to measure a loud ordinance or a party
Well, by
call.
the time you get there, they're usually turned down.
So it is a little difficult.
Well, it's a dangerous thing because the people that are doing those loud things do not like to be talked to, and they always seem to be very threatening. And that's not, I don't want to feel like I can't walk out and ask somebody to do that.
Yeah.
So maybe put in a bug to somebody to figure out how to get the.
I saw a hand come up that we might have an answer.
Is it Paul? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hi, everyone, sorry
Hi, Alicia.
to interject. So.
Everybody killed me multiple times in my life already.
So when you report, noise disturbances to the health department, we recommend that you have or download on your phone an app that
Oh,
measures
Silas,
the
you
decibels or the
Yeah.
decibels or whatever. And you document your own experience, maybe throughout a week. In terms of like holding up the phone and see what it records. And if you have something substantive, is that the right
Yeah,
word?
Work substantive.
Thank you. Then you would submit that report along with your data.
Okay,
And so if
and the
they-
license plate number if we can get it.
sure, and also, oh, so it's a vehicle, it's not a home?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Okay.
These people come in, they get up, they open their doors
Oh,
up
I
to
see.
their cars and walk into the park and
Boom,
use their
boom,
cars
boom.
as their,
Okay.
their.
So that's all I want to add, the app.
I like.
Yeah, the app's a good idea.
That's really good. So
Yeah.
for that instance, Alicia, do they need like a screenshot of like the decibel is, like log, like how should
Yes,
somebody track the information to provide?
both
Where-
ways.
Okay.
Like a picture or even handwritten document. Maybe the app can save what you've recorded or your data. I haven't used it myself. I haven't, yeah, so, but I've recommended it to others to use it.
Okay.
And as, yeah.
I haven't used that either, so that's.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? 2 seconds, I'll knock the numbers out and then I'll get out of your way. For the month of January, we had 12 violent crimes in the Poplar Grove area. There were 3 issues, 3 rapes, 3 robberies, 2 aggravated assault DVs, and 3 non-family DVs. So those are the 12 that occurred in Poplar Grove area. There were 4 burglaries of residential buildings, 7 burglaries of outbuildings, garages, storage facilities, 19 car prowls car prowls, 49 shoplifting issues, and 14 motor vehicle thefts. So that's 93. That's actually a little higher than normal. It's not a ton higher, but it is, both of them are a little bit higher. So a 3-year average, we're about 92, so we're 0.9 basically away from a 3-year average. So grand total of 105 crimes within Poplar Grove that were reported and investigated, and normally we're seeing about 103 over a 3-year average. So those are the pretty good numbers. And just so you're aware, we do have our chief retiring in 2 days. So he will be 28th will be his last day, and then we'll get a new chief, believes first week in March sometime. So if you can get to his retirement, that would be fantastic. 35 years in Salt Lake City Police Department. So
There's a party happy.
as far as I know, I haven't gotten anything. Do you know more?
No.
I've seen enough like TV shows to know that he should probably stay inside.
Yeah, 35 years.
Yeah.
So
Like retiring, too old to have years on the force.
But there's no crimes prosecuted during the time there's not a chief, right? So
yeah, it's free for all. What is that?
Oh, it's the purge.
No, the purge. Yeah, Jason.
It's on the news, the fentanyl stuff. Did you already cover that?
No, what question is specifically? I mean, we're getting fentanyl galore off of the river.
that's what I was.
Is there like a 3 times a week scenario where that's happening?
Oh, no, it's daily. Yeah,
Steve
we're-
Asher's there.
Yeah. Our big ops where we got, just the last one you saw in KSL, there was 10 arrested. That was a big op, fairly big op, and that was a big swoop. But yeah, we're getting drugs off of there daily and multiple times a day.
And that area is north of North Temple.
All over, but yeah, that's the really hard part right now is it's from North Temple up to just past Backman Elementary into the baseball fields. That's the hardest part or the worst part we're seeing right now.
And are you seeing any of that pushing around? So.
Yeah, and this is the same kind of group that was over on 800 West North Temple at one time. And then it moved to 1200 West underneath the bridge. And now it's kind of moved to Redwood and North Temple. So we're pushing it. We don't want to push it into neighborhoods. So yeah, it's just, it's kind of a whack-a-mole, but we are pushing it a ton. Yep.
Is anyone surprised at the amount of fentanyl that you're finding?
I'm not. Fentanyl is the big drug right now. It is the huge drug all across the nation. So, 1,000 pills, 1,700 pills, 10,000 pills, 25,000 pills is not uncommon.
Yes. And then and this push for this sort of stuff, is it because there's gonna be investment in our neighborhood? Or why the sudden, it took a lot of streaming.
And it usually does. It does take a lot of, but we've always been hitting it. It's just those dealers are continually coming out of the jail. So it's the hardest thing for us.
So can we get a list of the judges that released them?
I think it's, yeah, well, I mean, it's public knowledge. I'm not sure.
How would because I don't know who's been arrested, so how would I find out who is arrested for fentanyl distribution? And then who is the judge that let them go?
So those are good questions. You could contact probably the court for that because it is all public knowledge. Maybe not so much until after it's adjudicated, because if it's charged is different than being, actually pled or something. But they could absolutely get you, they should be able to get you some of that.
No, I'd have to, like 6 months back or something, you think?
No, it shouldn't be that far back.
The thing is that I understand that police are arresting these people, but we're not holding them or stopping them from doing what they're doing. It's whack-a-mole, what's the problem,
Yeah.
right? You can't leave these people around the city.
Yeah.
So I wanna start putting judges in front of people's eyes, with names there to say, this person keeps letting this happen. And that's where the problem.
Well, but isn't the problem is like twofold, right? Where it's like jails are full and then there's already a process for like drug offense.
Yep.
And then second of all, right now, the state is kind of like in a contentious battle with the city, where like the state wants the city to be firmer, but they're understaffed, the jails are full, like it's hard to like hit it from every side. So I totally get what you're saying. I wouldn't blame the judge for it, more so it's just like what the current rules are set up that like after 48 hours, like we just kind of have to let them go because, they have other things to kind of do within the city. And that, I think that's where like the state is now pushing for the repeated offenders, like their sentencing gets longer and longer to the point where like they just don't get released.
So, and we've been pushing that for quite a while. If it's a repeat offender, we'll go to the DA's office and say, this is a repeat offender, and the DA's will usually pursue greater charges or more, not be as lenient. So we've been doing that for a while. So if the state backs us on that, then it's gonna be a real big benefit. Absolutely. Yep. Whack-a-mole, play it at Lagoon, it's great. Yeah, that's it. So, I probably won't be able to stay the whole night, so if there are questions, yeah, I might just sneak out.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thanks, Detective Oliver. And on that note, yeah, again, a lot of times it becomes a legislation issue that, police as well as judges can only enforce what is on the law books. And speaking of that, we probably don't have them because the legislative session is currently running, but we always theoretically have time on our docket for our representatives. We don't have them here, correct?
No.
Then we took a good chunk for police, so now we'll give a smaller chunk to the mayor's office. Alicia will roll through your announcements.
Is that 3 minutes?
Well,
It's however long you want it to be.
3 minutes. May I stand here? No. The
Yeah.
owl,
Camera can't like catch you that way.
the owl doesn't get me?
Actually, no, it did. No, it did. No, you're good.
it's got you, yeah.
Yeah, you got a whole little window.
framed. Okay, great. Let's do this informally. I don't want to be standing there in the front. Why not?
Yeah.
Practicing different speaking engagement skills. Kind of like a classroom setting instead of like formal. reputation is my.
And actually, before Alicia gets rolling, I just wanted to chime in. We have Andrew Johnson who's online. He just put in a comment on what we were talking about a second ago, that he says we are working with the jail, DA, justice court, and others to figure out all the details that are contributing to the system struggles. So the county passed a state sales tax increase that should open another 180-ish beds in Oxbow jail this year. So just wanted to mention that before we moved on too far from the crime elements.
Thank
Okay.
you, Andrew.
Excellent. Thank you, Andrew.
My PowerPoint, are you able to feature it, please? So good evening, everyone. If you've not seen my face, my name is Alicia. I am your community liaison to this district number 2 to the mayor's office. So just wanted to mention that I did have my community office hours at Shirzad Market and Restaurant. It's on the crossroads of Redwood Road and 2100 South. If you have any suggestions on where for me to go for community office hours in your district, please let me know. Sometimes I'm running out of ideas, or maybe there's a new restaurant or location that I don't know of and you do, please send them to me, your suggestions. Next slide is, we have a new app, my Salt Lake City app. I think I have business cards, not business cards, but cards where the QR code are attached to and you can download or scan the QR code and download the app on your phones. It's pretty simple to use. There are 2 ways to use it. You can create your own account and track the progress of your case or your submission. The other way is to report something anonymously, and the other way is to report with your information, and you'll receive an email once your case or your submission is addressed. I tested it out. I submitted something on graffiti. It was addressed within less than 24 hours. But I didn't do an account. I didn't do it anonymously, and I just got a real quick email. Oh, this was addressed. I'm like, really? And I drove by where the location was, and sure enough, they took care of it. So check it out. It's pretty self-explanatory. It has a way for you to choose a language. I believe is Spanish. I'm not sure if there are other languages.
It's just fully Spanish.
It's just Spanish right now?
Spanish
Okay.
and English for.
Okay, well, this district has about 43% Spanish speaking folks, so I mean, that's a start. And if you are interested in getting some tutorials on how to use it, the app has that. Also, there are knowledge articles where if you are submitting something, a concern and you don't know how to address it, it gives you the step-by-step process of how to submit something to transportation, for example, okay? Next slide, please. That is just a reminder that this month, the collection schedule has changed. So if you look at if they collected your trash, etc. on Monday, now it's going to be on Tuesday. So that's just a friendly reminder. Thank you all for your understanding and adaptability. Next slide, please. The food micro grant, has anyone in the council or community applied for this grant before?
I just applied yesterday.
Oh, you did? Awesome. What part did you apply? Did you apply for the home food or the community grant?
Yeah.
The home food? And what are you, okay. Do you want to share what you?
I applied to get a walnut.
A walnut tree. Awesome. So if you apply for the home food grant, they give you $250. You can plant a tree, you can refurbish your garden, you can have chickens, which we need them nowadays because, the eggs are pretty expensive.
This is actually, say more.
Say more. Okay, I learned that you
tell
can
me.
have up to 13 chickens in your yard. If you go beyond that, then you'll get cited.
12 or 14.
14?
14.
Okay.
Oh, you got a rooster, that's why.
I'll purchase some eggs from you if you get one of these. So great way to,
Should be our export for Poplar Grove. We should all as neighbors. Raise them together and then we can just sell eggs at Poplar Grove.
Tell you the truth, it's more expensive to raise.
Oh,
Yeah, it
but it must be fun anyway.
Oh,
So
they're nice.
they're not, well, yeah, it's for every work. You have to put in the work, right, to get something out of everything in life. Okay. And as a community council, you can also apply for the community grant. It's up to 5,000. And if you have a garden already set up or you want to revive one, then please apply. The deadline is next week. Next slide, please. Yes.
Wait, so if you did your home garden thing and you got your $250, do you have to share your fruit around, or is that just for you, or? I mean, I'm not saying that it wouldn't, but I'm just saying, is there a requirement that we,
Hey, we're gonna calm you. We share you.
That's your answer right there.
There was a question that number of chickens, does that include roosters or?
No, sorry, I messed it up.
Roosters aren't permitted.
Don't listen to Danny. I'm sorry, yeah, well, I just turned.
You're not supposed to have roosters.
You're not supposed to have roosters. All right.
Roosters are not.
You get that, Andrea?
Sorry.
Okay, well, I don't know exactly the answer to that, but I can investigate.
Is it
But,
only just like plants that grow food? So like garden stuff?
Well, I eat flowers
Fruit,
too.
veggies.
Yeah, I was gonna say like there's certain flowers,
Yeah,
or like if I wanted to do like wildflowers in my,
I would recommend for you to go to the link and there's what is it? Frequently out FAQ
yeah,
sheet where I'm pretty sure they have a response to that.
okay, yeah, I was thinking like herbs, right, like lavender,
Oh,
basil,
yeah.
things like that.
Sure, like, pollinators?
Yeah,
Like-
exactly, I wanna do
I think
pollinators.
so. Yeah, I think that would feel,
So you're
yeah,
doing
of
it for
course,
the
you're
honey.
contributing to the.
Exactly,
You
what
just
I
don't have the bees.
wanna do over the honey, and I wanna attract the bees.
Oh, okay, there you go. I think, so I would say yes. I don't know, but double check.
Cool,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Next slide. please.
so. Back to that question, which kind of got kind of fun out of hand there for me. Is there any, what is it they want from us for having accepted the $250 to improve? our
You can go
garden?
to the website and find that out. Because
Like
that
you
will be
feel-
the best, the
okay,
most
okay.
details will be there.
Got it.
There won't be any payback. There's
We'll
two
keep
of you,
going.
you're gonna be giving your food to your neighbors.
The
and stuff, so-
expectation is for
yeah.
you to invite us to your garden and
Yeah,
then
there
we
you
can,
go.
you know, photograph
Yeah, usually
it.
the funds are just set aside for
Now-
community-based projects like this, so that like, to help people sort of like, do self-sustaining, you know, like
Yeah.
growing and things like that. So there's no strings attached, like,
True.
the city's not the mob, they're not gonna ask you
Oh.
for 50%.
Well-
I don't I do wanna
I'm
say
just a
that,
gnome, so I know nothing.
I do wanna say that I've heard, and I can see it as well, feel it, that this side is like, a food desert, even though that's not the right term. But there's not enough accessibility to different types of produce or, you know, affordable costs, healthy options. So I think that's what we're trying to supplement in that
Yeah,
way
it's, I'll support.
for access.
Hey,
Next slide.
Birds, chickens too, eat bugs.
Oh, there you go. Folks, please submit your request for historical markers. It is due, is that Friday? This Friday? It's this Friday. There are only 2 applications will be approved. So it's a pretty competitive process. It is a pilot program, so depending on the, I don't know, the submission or the quality of the submissions, and depending if city council approves the new budget for this to be incorporated, then it'll be happening again next year. I'm not sure how often. So just a reminder, please apply if you're still interested in that. There are folks that can guide you through the process of gathering your research and all that jazz. Next slide, please. So this happened. It's a new public art project. It happened this Monday, right?
Yeah.
So even though the walking tour already happened, you're welcome to visit State Street between 7th South and the front of Sapa. They have 8 neon, what is it, displays of art.
I literally drove past that, like upper left one, and I thought, what the heck was that?
Is that, what is it? What do you think it is?
I thought it was like a Christmas ornament at first.
Oh, okay, yeah, I mean, art is interpretable.
It's
right?
a Polynesian pattern. It represents the Polynesian community. It's a tribal pattern, but colorful.
Ah, wonderful.
Thank you, Daniel, for the insight.
Yes.
Cause I really wanted to know what it was.
Yeah, it's from the artist Kalani Tonga. So she's a local artist. She's done several murals around the city as well. So
Ah, that's fantastic. And all of these 8 installations are all the artists are local, so they're trying to support local art. And I know one of the artists as well, so it has a heart and butterflies. What is her? Veronica Perez is the artist. I don't know if anyone's heard of her. Anyways, go check that out. I just wanted to leave that on there. Drive by it. Now, the planning division, did someone come and present on this?
Yeah. Aaron did, didn't he?
Yes, last month.
Okay, fantastic. I am not the expert at this, but I know that they're merging those two zones to make more affordable housing availability or available. If your property is on the, border or in that area where they're gonna do that merger, then you can go online and put in your zip code and figure out if you're a homeowner where your zone will be, changed, or if you oppose it. If you have any questions, you can go to the online portal, just search multifamily merger and you can engage with them and give your feedback and all that, okay? Next slide, please. Okay, Bike to Work Day, that is the schedule for spring. The first one, February 20th, had to be postponed because there was snow that day. So it's pretty chilly. But I'll, plan on I don't know when they're gonna reschedule it, but plan on joining us for May, August, October, and perhaps March will come along and we'll have a Bike to Work Day. So they start at 7:30. We do provide drinks. That's when we gather, and then at 8 we start the ride. So depending on where the location is the time frame that it will take for you to get from one point to city and county building. Now, if you are biking from your house to your job, then we would recommend or invite you all to take pictures and post at hashtag Salt Lake City something. Let me see, what is it? Oh, hashtag Salt Lake City Bike There, all at one. So you can share your photos with us. Okay. Good. Okay.
Are
next
they,
slide.
at this time, they're gathering at those places?
Yeah, we start gathering at 7:30 and then 30 minutes to wait for everyone who wants to join, and then the ride starts at 8. It can take between 10 to 30 minutes depending on the location. But we take 30 minutes to mingle, eat something, maybe, get ready, maybe borrow a helmet if you need it, stuff like that.
We don't arrive without your helmet.
I don't have a helmet. I don't know where, I lost it somewhere, so, yeah.
Counterintuitive.
I know, but hey, you never know. Okay, we have an indoor quality program, the sustainability department started. It should be up and running this week. They told me at the end of this month. Now, the department is launching this for the very first time. Community members can apply who are eligible to get a free set of furnace filters, an air purifier, or an induction cooktop. The cooktop is only available for households with a gas range. These types of equipment are free through the Clean Air Salt Lake City program. The program will prioritize households with children or adults, individuals with breathing or heart problems, and those that live near pollution sources. Program has limited funding. Sustainability will provide equipment on a first time, first served basis while prioritizing high need households. If you have any questions, go to SLC Green. And that's my contact information. I am not available 24/7. I do try to get back to you. No, I do try to get back to you as soon as I can. If I don't, just nudge me or say, hey, Alicia, I'm bubbling this up back to the top of your email list. Questions, concerns?
Calling you at 3.
AM?
Yeah, no, of course.
Okay. Well, I might be up. I do suffer from insomnia sometimes, so. TMI.
All right. Thank you so much, Alicia. And if you have any other questions or issues with the mayor's office, she's the person to contact for that. I'm assuming we don't have anyone from the council here. Okay, well, there's our city councilman, Alejandro. If you have questions or concerns that relate to the city council, let him know. We also love the support we have right outside of our neighborhood, but still part of our community is Sorenson Center. Any updates from there? Do you know anything, Ricardo?
Yeah, I do. So there are just a few of their documents that they sent out. So there's the free tax help that's happening. There's paper here for those that wanna call, make an appointment. I think you can also schedule online. They do it both in English and in Spanish. And then they're offering free citizenship classes every Thursday at 6:30 to 8:30. And then they're also doing kind of like computer-based classes, how to like navigate using a computer, also navigate using an Outlook and sort of those kind of resources, how to navigate the internet and search. These are really meant more for, I mean, anybody can utilize them, but they are geared and taught in Spanish to help sort of help new sort of residents of the West Side. And then there's a job fair happening on the 27th. That's open and free to the public, and there's gonna be a raffle for some iPads. That's the word on the street. And it's gonna be from 5 PM to 7 PM. And it's for single mothers, and there's also a single mother seminar the same day, it looks like. That's it.
Awesome, thanks. Thanks so much, Ricky.
Cool.
We also, anyone there from the other side that wanted to chime in with anything? Any details? They are our newest community members there. The Other Side Village has just started putting in houses there on the other side of Redwood Road, there off of Indiana. They already had the donut shop that's been there for a while, which I'm pretty sure that's where our refreshments came from today.
Yep. So please, if you haven't already, help yourself to some donuts. They are from the Other Side Village. There's also refreshments in the little container. Yeah, words are lost on me. Cooler. Word. No long day this.
Yeah.
So we're great to have them as new neighbors, and they did a little bit of presentation last month about the updates of what they have going on. The first houses have gone in, and they'll continue to grow as we go along. So is there anyone there from NeighborWorks? We just wanted to mention on the next slide, we got an email inviting us to put up a flyer. I was like, we don't have a place, so we don't have flyers to put up. But this is the equivalent of putting up the flyers, announcing it to you guys. They are holding certified nursing classes starting next week. So if you're interested, you can go to the NeighborWorks Salt Lake page, his website. They have a section for career works, and you can get more information on that, the training that they offer.
And we'll send this out also like in our newsletter, our update for tonight. So like you don't have to scramble and quickly take photos or whatnot. So
yeah, but actually of this one you might want to because the deadline's so soon. So if you are interested or know someone that might be interested, you can even just send us an email or reach out. We'll put this up. I can put this up on our Facebook page sooner, but it takes a couple days sometimes for us to get the recap together, and these, sooner better than later for this one. But everything else, yeah, we'll send it out, and you won't have to take pictures like Ricky said. Awesome. And then of course we're grateful for Neighborhood House that's hosting us. We're grateful for the new space we have that works really well compared to our old space, and hopefully, at least those side chairs look pretty comfy, so that's great.
Ooh, buddy, you're missing out. I know that these are better than beach in Hawaii.
Yeah, I'll be stuck. I'll have to go out into my 75-degree weather out here in just a second.
Oh, you know what? I think it's time to move on to the next.
Anyway, Poplar Grove.
Yeah, we can just roll through some of these. Actually, the next slide we can probably hop over. I think the open mic night has kind of been postponed temporarily, so just keep an ear out if that's in the future. But so the next slide is about the Hartland Festival. The Hartland Community Center is the University Neighborhood Partners space down in Glendale neighborhood, which is off of 1700 South, across the street from the regional park there. And they hold an annual festival just sort of to celebrate the community in the neighborhood. Poplar Grove Community Council has gotten involved. When I say the council's gotten involved, it means I'm involved. And so they didn't have a space online. So their website, their web space is actually on the Poplar Grove Community Council webpage. So website. And so on our website under activities, you can click and see more information about the festival. It's a lot of fun. Free food and time to come out. That'll be Saturday, April 26th. 11 to 2 p.m. The other announcement that we wanted to mention was community council elections are coming up next month. So if you are interested in being involved with community council, please reach out, let us know. We will hold elections. We've had a few people resign mid-year, and the way that our bylaws are set up is that we've appointed new members that are just on the board temporarily. And I mean, they're officially on the board until they get voted in. So there's a few new members that still need to be officially voted in at the next election next month. But in addition, our positions of leadership, I think 2 of them, I think the chair and the treasurer are open, are going to be up for election again. And so if you've been interested in being involved, now's a great time to do it. There's a lot of new buzz going on in our neighborhoods. And so feel free to reach out to any of the members of the board or just email info@poplargroveslc.org or go to our website, poplargroveslc.org for information on elections. So
Alicia has a question. Her hand's up.
sure.
I just remembered that there is a grant for the mayor's office for community councils to apply. Are you aware of that? The
Yes.
deadline is March 17th.
Yeah, we're on top of that. We didn't mention it here because we are the council, but yes, we do know about that. Thank you, Alicia.
Palpatine, calm down.
And speaking, yeah, I think the next slide is just thanking again Neighborhood House. And then after that, we just want to remind the community that as a recognized community organization, a lot of times the city is passing on information to us to get feedback. Sometimes we give general feedback. We discussed one of the reviews that was going on last month. A lot of times we don't have the bandwidth to fully engage in terms of like bringing everything that's come across our plate to each council meeting, but we do post them all onto our website. If you currently go on there now, you can see, for example, there's currently an ordinance that's open up for feedback in terms of increasing the height of front yard fences and backyard fences. So from 4 feet to 6 feet in the front and from 6 to 7 feet in the backyards. And then there's one about changing garage standards for downtown. So not all of them are super exciting, but sometimes if there's a new building that's going up, that will go into our website under the tab. It's under news and then organizational input. So feel free to check that out. As a community council, we just give feedback of what we know in our meetings. And so it's just as important for you as an individual community member to reach out. So if there's something that comes across your, that you see that's important, you don't have to wait for us. The contact information is on those pages. You can feel free to reach out directly and give that feedback. And then one other announcement that didn't quite make it onto our list because I just got the email today, but the deadline will end before our next meeting, is apparently the city is kicking off an east-west connection study, looking at ways to overcome the barriers presented by the I-15 and several major railroad tracks dividing our city. So they're looking for a community advisory board. So
I applied today.
You applied today? Great.
Yeah.
So the deadline for this is when is the deadline? It's mid next week.
It's next week. I got told I was gonna find out by like April 4th is when they'll let people know. Well, you'll hear back by then.
Okay, March 19th is the deadline to apply. We'll put this stuff up in our review as well, but just wanted to mention that if you're interested, there's going to have a series of different meetings. They're compensating $35 an hour for up to 14 2-hour meetings. So there is some compensation, but mainly it's about getting feedback on the community in terms of the east-west connection.
So, and the process is really easy for those that do want to sort of apply for the position. It's about 7 different pages, asking a variety of, like, most of the basic questions for the first half are just like, where do you live, right? Name, zip code, and then kind of like your experience living on the west side. And then the back half of the application is asking for ways that what could you bring to the committee? and sort of the insights that that you could provide, sort of being a West Side resident to help these decision makers better understand. And then the commitment, and they kind of highlighted it a lot, is that, like Daniel said, it's like 14 2-hour meetings, from now until December. So the position you'll go to this, you'll be committed for at least until the end of the year, while they conduct studies and bring kind of experts, ask questions, maybe bring lawmakers in and sort of just speak on experience.
Yeah, and I'm a liaison from the city to
Nice.
to, I guess, the community in general while we're getting this thing started. But in terms of like the general community, there's another liaison, also a student at the university, that's a liaison to community organizations.
So you guys would be facilitating that effort,
Yes.
or do you have a consultant?
There'll be a consultant.
Okay.
But, I mean,
Are you part of like the study group, or are you just more?
we're students.
Or students?
Oh, good.
Sort of.
Took internship?
Yeah. Walking through shit. That's it.
He's like, my degree hangs on, so.
Yeah.
If we don't repair West Side, East Side relations, I'm not gonna get my master's.
All right, great. So just if you're interested, that'll be in the recap as well. But if you're interested in that, you can reach out sooner because the deadline is the 19th. They did offer to come present to us on that, but our next council meeting will be after that point. So great. We have a couple presentations now that are lined up. We're going to turn the time over first to Nan, who will, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Where do you want me to stand?
Right there's perfect,
Okay.
or right up here,
Right here.
wherever you're comfortable.
Okay, right here. Okay. I'm going to talk about a couple of things, mostly Love Your Block grants, which I know a lot of us applied for, and we were fortunate to receive one of those. But before we start, I want to just talk a little bit about the Fisher Mansion. And first of all, thank the council so much for helping us with our CIP grant application. And that's what I really wanted to talk about just a little bit tonight, because as some of us who are on the board, we have some board members here, we really appreciate all the effort that our communities helped us launch that CIP grant. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about what the city is doing now on the Fisher Mansion, just quickly, and then I'll get into the Love Your Block grant. So that the bond that passed, of course, last couple of years ago is in good condition now because we are seismically upgrading and sustaining that building. So what the company is doing right now mostly is dealing with the footings first, because the footings have disintegrated over time. So those will be replaced. The foundation is being addressed, as well as the outside and the inside walls. So also the roof will be addressed. So that is all going to be coming from that initial grant that was given to the Fisher Mansion. So there are things happening. We may go past it and it's boarded up. We're protecting those windows in the meantime. And the CIP grant, when we get it, right? When we get it, we'll add to the additional things that have to be done to activate the grounds as well as the mansion. And I'm sure a lot of we're already utilizing the grounds for different things that are happening. Probably the most popular one is the Fisher Beer Garden that we have.
Yeah.
So that's what I just wanted to give you a little information. If you want to talk to us, there are a couple of us on the board. If you want to talk to us afterwards, you can grab us about it, a little more information. But Love Your Block. So for a lot of us who did apply for the Love Your Block grant, I'm the lead on the Tot Lot. We call it the Rebirth. Paul is the second lead on this, and I think we do have our city lead on. Are you with us, Diana? She was. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Anyways, Oh, yay. Okay, so what I'm going to just talk about, I have five quick slides, just kind of a quick history of the Post Street Tot Lot, which is on Fifth South and Post Street, which is 940 West. And this is a 1958 aerial view of what the Tot Lot looked like before it was developed. It was owned by two homeowners. One of those homeowners was a florist, and he raised roses on half of that. The other half, when the city did buy it, was because they did not pay their taxes. So if you can go to the next slide. In 1981, the city decided to create a playground there. And so they attained, if you notice, they are calling us Glendale Park. Anyway, with community interest, the playground was started as the Post Street Tot Lot. So that was 1981. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see how they designed it was with a berm. I'm gonna just walk up here, a big berm around the playground area. You can see it a little bit there. I'm sorry, these were taken from my yard. And then they had these flat benches so that people could enjoy the time there. Now, in 1987, you can go to the next slide. In 1987, they did decide to redesign that. And so what happened is they took the berm down, which was kind of sketchy. People could kind of hide behind it, right? Yeah. And new playground equipment was added. And also they put in new benches, actual benches, not little places to sit. What has happened over time, a few years after the 1987 remodel, they did plant some trees, but unfortunately they were not taken care of and they died pretty quickly. So our Love Your Block grant is going to, you can go to the next slide, is going to work with Public Lands who will put in the new benches. Now, we don't have a timeline exactly on that. So the actual Love Your Block event that is going to happen is planting the trees with urban forestry. Plus, we also have been kind of granted new, a way to kind of brighten up the entrance, because right now we have 3 concrete poles with a Tot Lot sign on it. And so they've given us permission to go ahead and paint those. We're waiting for a couple of things. They're going to give us the paint palette and the design that is we can approve there. For us who live right around the park, that's going to be a really wonderful way to enter the park, but also for all of us that use it and the neighborhood kids, this is going to be a really great improvement. Places to sit for the families when the kids come, right? And we will not miss the benches that they're going to replace. When the benches did break, they would take them out and not replace them. So we had 4, then we're 3, now there's 2. So we're really happy that 4 benches are going to come back. 1.5, yeah, one of them's not really good. So they did give us the date that I know this says spring, but it is May 3rd. That's a Saturday. And so we will be, yours is too? Yeah. So, so we are looking for volunteers to help with the planting and also for the painting project of those concrete poles. So if you have time and are interested in making our Tot Lot back to its happy look, we would love you to volunteer. You can contact me at my email, or I do have a sign-up sheet if you are really excited and want to sign up now.
I use that park literally every morning. I will be there. I bring my dog.
Oh, okay, yeah, I clean the park up every morning. You see me do it, right?
I clean up after my dog. I don't know who else cleans their dog herds there, but I get mad.
Yeah, we've been cleaning, Paul and I have been cleaning up that park for years and years. I like, seriously,
Yeah,
30 years.
Every time I go, your dog always barks at me.
I know, she loves to bark.
I love her so much.
Yeah. So I would invite you all to volunteer. I'm not taking away from yours. I'll invite you to volunteer for joining us on May 3rd. We plan to do it probably about from 10 to 1-ish, you know, so it's not like a whole day that we're going to have to devote to working on the Tot Lot. Any questions? No,
Great.
oh,
Thanks so
oh,
much.
I had a
Oh.
question about the CIP grant. When will you know if you?
we don't, it's whenever the
Oh.
city decides and we can, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we can, talk to me later about it, cause I do have a little information.
okay.
Usually takes like at least 1 year, maybe sometimes 2.
Yeah, it depends on, you know. Depends on what the city decides,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right. So I also have cards up here, if you would rather just take the card and contact me, that's really fabulous, but I do have this sign up sheet. Yes, yes, okay. Thank you. Thank
Great,
you
thanks,
for the
everybody.
time, okay? Yeah.
We will make sure that we have Nan's contact information in the recap email that's going to go out as well, so that we can follow up with that. And I'm sure we'll announce this again in our next meeting, which will, next couple meetings before May rolls around. So thanks for contributing to the neighborhood, and we're glad to have those Love Your Block grants. If anyone else decides to get a grant and gets it awarded, the council will be happy to help whatever ways possible in order to make that happen. So. Next, we'll turn our time over to Charlotte with some details about Westside Coalition.
Hey. Hello. How's everybody doing tonight? Good. Well, you've probably heard about the Westside Coalition. So it's a coalition of the 6 community councils on the west side. And so we have representatives from each community council. And so Daniel, all the community councils, the chair is on the board. And they appoint someone, and Dan Potts is on the board.
For the
So,
moment.
and then,
Till the election.
yeah. And then we have 6 at-large members from the west side. So it's an 18-member board. And 2 from each community council that are just automatically on, then the at-large members can be from anywhere around the west side, and they are elected. So we have an annual meeting coming up on April 22nd. And that is when our elections happen. I don't know, raise your hand if you've been to the annual meeting, the Westside Coalition annual meeting. Yeah, well,
Great.
we have food, we're gonna have food from Red Iguana, okay? And entertainment. So we've had fire dancers and
Cello players.
yeah,
She's awesome.
incredible
Oh
cellist
my
and
God.
guitar player, and so we're gonna have some musicians that will perform during, and this hasn't been set up yet, by the way, but anyway, it's to come. We'll have tabling opportunities for different organizations in the community, all the community councils, and it's just a nice time to get together and meet, you know, it's not in the summer, you know, it's April, so have some food, talk and find out what's going on in your community, you know, across the west side. You want to serve on the Westside Coalition. You know, we have elections and you just have to put your application in 5 days before. So, and it's a 2-year term. We have monthly board meetings, but we feed you at the board meetings and, you know, we advocate for the health, safety and quality of life of Westside residents. And we do that by speaking with a larger voice, right? So you have your community council. But when you have all of the community councils combined and you're speaking about matters that are relevant to everybody on the west side, it's nice to have that unified voice. The east side tried to create an east side coalition, but it didn't work.
It's because they don't have
Not yet,
hardship,
not
right? You need hardship in order to like really create a real coalition. And on the west side, we have a shared kind of cause.
And
We do.
affects us on a daily, they're never gonna be able to cause this.
So, some of the, we also have, so we have monthly board meetings, and by the way, that's open to the public. So, and they're usually hybrid, so you could hop on, our website. Oh, we have all this going on, sorry, I didn't
I've
see
been
this.
bouncing around between, just to highlight what you've been.
Oh, okay,
Daniel's been.
yeah, so those are our issue areas. Okay, so education, environmental resources, housing and homelessness, public safety, transportation, and Westside development. So,
I think we also have a health
Sometimes-
one on there that I think didn't make it onto this list, but health is also, I think.
health is a newer, we added a health issue area. So, anyway, how we do this is if you have an issue that you really care about, that falls within one of those categories, you can bring it up and we have issue advocacy meetings as well every month. So we found that our board meetings were getting really packed and just not enough time to really focus on the issues that we want to advocate for, or, you know, I don't know, fight against, you know. So if we want to help support or say that we're against something, you know, that takes at least an hour of real talking every month, you know, and then we can also talk about it at our board meetings, but I would just suggest hop on one of those meetings and see what we do. And then, or maybe come to an issue advocacy meeting. I think you will. I'm sure you'll find something that you care about there. And it's nice to be around a lot of people who are really working towards bettering our community, you know, and standing up for the West Side. So let's see, is that,
Can I ask something real quick?
yeah,
And she recommends, I actually implore, I think that like we are living in a time where like a lot of us. We kind of, you know, we're looking for that hopefulness, right? And the most direct way to do so is directly in our communities. So it's once a month, easy to get involved. It's a strong coalition of like-minded individuals coming together, trying to converse and like come up with solutions, or maybe even, you know, come up with like opposing views on things, but it allows us to stay engaged with each other, because I think that at the end of the day, every interaction that we have is where we live, right? You know, things that happen at the federal level won't really impact us as much. It still can, but it might not. But this is a really good way to make a direct impact in your everyday life. And I think that everybody should at some point, which is why I'm also glad that we all attend these meetings, right? Because we are already on that wavelength.
yeah, and community councils are more about zoning and really hyper local things that are going in your neighborhood. But if you want to get involved on a little bit broader level maybe, and more advocacy, that's what the Westside Coalition is for.
And I'll say, and they do like, the Westside Coalition actually has sway with lawmakers. That's the one really good benefit of this coalition, is that because there's so many people that are a part of it, and there's a lot of engagement from the West Side communities that come together, like people that sit at City Hall and at the Capitol actually consider Westside Coalition and sort of their stances on stuff. You know, their letters have sway. It's like, it's a way to actually make direct impact.
Yeah, thank you. We just to tell you what, a couple of the things that we've done for around advocacy. Just recently, we wrote a letter and speaking out against the Rocky Mountain Power rate increases. And we did that in conjunction with Rose Park Community Council. So sometimes we'll have a community council say, come to us and say, we really need more advocacy on this issue. Do you think you could vote, like, consider it as a board, whether to act upon this issue? And so that's what Rose Park Community Council did. They were really concerned about the rate hikes for their community, and we talked about that. There was also property tax increases with the mosquito abatement district. Because it had happened 2 years in a row, they felt, we wrote a letter and said, you need to come up with alternate ways of funding this, not just always putting it on the back of taxpayers. You know, so, also, let's see, transportation safety measures. So we watch the bills and legislation that are going on in each legislative session. And there's one, Senate bill, oh no, what is it? I forgot to write the number down, but it's a big transportation bill, but part of it puts a moratorium, 1-year moratorium on any kind of transportation projects.
SB 195, by the way.
SB 195.
SB 195.
So, you know, there were community council areas and Fair Park and Rose Park that they were doing traffic calming and safety measures on some of their streets, and they have been working on it for years and years. And finally, it's in the works, but now the state's trying to put the brakes on it and say, no, we can't do that.
We directly feel this, a lot of the calming that we have right now with the construction on 4th South, like all of that stuff that we've been getting these last 2 years, all being put on hold and all technically could be pulled away. So this is one of those few rare, not one of those very moments where we need to, as a community, and especially the Westside Coalition, really speak out against it.
It's an overreach. It's just a big overreach, you know?
Because we're losing a lot of funding that is supposed to make better improvements for our communities and our neighborhoods and our streets that we've been just ignored for years. We've been fighting for this. And now they're trying to like put a pin in it so that we don't get absolutely anything unless they approve it.
So I know that both Sandra and Angela, excuse me, are voting against that.
Yeah.
So where further do we go to?
It's being discussed with the transportation committee tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Tomorrow at 4 p.m. So if any,
Show up,
Yeah.
submit a comment,
We'll be proud.
attend online, you can do it tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Discuss the transportation committee.
And I would really implore everybody that, you know, especially you live in this neighborhood, we've been getting direct support from this grant, from this month. This is like, we've seen these improve. I've lived here for 3 years and I've already seen vast improvements.
and so the Westside Coalition did pull together and write a letter saying, you know, this will really affect our community and projects that communities have put lots of input in and been working on for years. And let's see, we got a response from Senator Wayne Harper saying, thank you for your email and information. I appreciate your advocacy of safety and transportation. Please watch for the sub with language crafted in cooperation with Salt Lake City. So they are listening to us. I mean, you know, I think when we have that unified voice and we're working with our legislators, our elected officials and our city council reps, we start to have a little bit more clout. I don't know.
Agreed.
And so,
100%, I agree.
yeah, there was one other thing that we did, when we found out that, you know, the Fair Park District was that bill that made that, gave that land, I don't know,
Power district.
the power district. So, yeah, that was last year, last legislative session, we really fought and worked and negotiated to get a seat on that board, a voting seat on that, on the Power District Board, so that we could have some say in, you know, a Major League Baseball coming there and all of the development. So that our board president, Dan Strong, was appointed by the governor to be on that board, and he has a voting seat. So, anyway, if you're interested in helping us with some of these larger issues, that affect us, let us know. And, oh, it's Westside SLC. .org, I think.
Yep.
Westsideslc.org. We'll be putting up information about how you can, about elections. And then that's where you, will find out information about meetings. Are there any questions I can answer?
It is gonna be at the Fair Park, and that.
Yes,
that
sorry.
venue- Yeah, and that venue is awesome for this particular event.
5:30 to 8:30. Come and join us for food and.
At the neighborhood.
Oh,
Great.
and you all get to vote too,
Yeah,
on the board.
if you're there.
If you live on the west side or own a business on the west side, you are a Westside Coalition member. And you get to vote on the board of directors.
confused about, this says that the meeting is at NeighborWorks, and you just said it was at.
Well, the annual, we have
annual
an
meeting takes
annual
place
election
on the
meeting
fairgrounds.
where we wanna bring everybody together.
This is that's our annual meeting
Yeah.
on April 22nd.
Yeah,
5:30 to 8. And, but our monthly meetings are at NeighborWorks Salt Lake.
And those are, and that last one was yesterday?
Yes,
Okay.
last night. Yep. On the
Awesome.
fourth Tuesday, yeah.
Thanks so much, Charlotte. Yeah, and speaking as a member of Charlotte is one of the two vice presidents that we have on as a officer on the board. And I'm actually also the chair of this one, but I'm the communications director for the Westside Coalition as well. So if you'd like to run, the election information is on the website currently. It's basically just sending in a bio and a statement of candidacy at least 5 days before that meeting, so by mid-April. And then if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. But even if you don't want to have an official role on the board, you can still very much be participating. So feel free to reach out if you have something that you're concerned about that's bigger, kind of bigger picture. Let us know from the Westside Coalition. And then we'll turn some time over then to, do we have Peter there? For,
Here.
all right, the floor is yours.
Oh, my God.
yeah.
Oh, now I got the wrong time, but Dan
Sorry,
gave me
I
all the
entertained you.
stories,
Yeah, we're good.
entertained me for a while, so great to be here. I'm here on behalf of Crossroads Urban Center. And we have with us Jeffrey White, Tim Funk, and Bill Tibbetts. And then on the computer, we have Sophia Malik. She's our architect on a proposed project. So some of you know about the property at 1410 West Indiana Avenue. The city's got a request for proposals out that's due Friday. And Crossroads intends to respond to that, and we do have some handouts. And then if we're able to allow sharing, Sophia can bring up the photos as well. As I don't think I printed out enough of them. So, but the city has 0.57 acres at 1410 West Indiana Avenue. And Crossroads would like to take some of its existing facilities in that neighborhood and consolidate them into a new building. So the city's request for proposal requires over at least 8,000 square foot building. And our proposal is to build an 8,075 square foot building. So essentially meeting their requirements. And what will, and if you can blow up the top a little bit, Sophia, you might be able to see a little bit better, but the idea is to take the existing food bank, which is just down the street, and the thrift store, which is basically across the street, and consolidate them into this new facility. And then add, excuse me, add about 2,400 square feet of additional retail space that could be used for a restaurant or a coffee shop or whatever it might be. So that's the proposal that we're putting in this Friday, and we just want to let you know about it and see if you had any questions or concerns that we might be able to answer.
The single story building?
Single story building. We'll have different heights. It'll be shorter in the front, and then in the back where the food pantry will be, it'll be a little bit taller so they can get some of the food in and out of there. And then in the middle there, you can't see it real well, but there is a proposed little area in the back where if there's a restaurant, they could have outdoor seating as well. It will be fenced off, so at night, try to avoid any issues. Yeah, if you go down a little bit, so if you can see where that, oh, sorry, up a little. The other down. Or if you look on your page here, you can see that there's a little outdoor community courtyard as well, and that area could be used for community events as well. So, for the retailers who are there, community events, you could have a little place to gather. So that's our concept. And again, we just wanted to take any questions, and Bill and Tim are here from Crossroads, so they can answer any questions about what's going to go on there.
So 2 questions for you. What happens to your old properties? Do you swap those with the city? And then second, have you looked at flipping this so that that courtyard faces the street instead of just facing cars?
Sophia can answer that question, but on the architecture, and then Bill and Tim, you want us to talk, or you want me to? So one of the concepts.
Yeah, so,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the city's requiring us to have at least 90 feet of facing tenant space toward the street. So we're not able to do what you're suggesting, but we are proposing that the courtyard is going to be fully accessible by the public while also being able to be secured. And hopefully you guys can see my images. I'm going to go through a few other images. This is a bird's eye view. So you can see the courtyard here in the middle. And I'm going to try to pull up a few other details and things. Hopefully you guys can see as well.
As you know, the city, or many of you should know, or may know, the city has an arts program where if they give you loans or sell you properties, then you have to put 1.5% towards the arts. And so that's why you see a lot of murals here and trying to have some nice architectural elements. Before I answer your question, we do have as an alternative in the request for proposal is to do a land swap with the city for the thrift store across the street. Crossroads doesn't own the food bank site, so can't do that, but it would, excuse me, or can exchange the property with the city. If not, possibility of selling it as well and help pay for this parcel. And then in the back.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Yeah. Love what you and Sophia and the team put together. Is there any way to incorporate housing in this as well? Is that something that y'all looked at?
So as part of this swap proposal, one of the concepts is that instead of just giving the land to the city, we could also develop that as a live work site where the current thrift store is, and we'd probably have 3 to 4 townhouse units, depending on what could fit there. And I think it also may require a zoning change as well.
Sorry. Is there a way to put housing on this as well and just get a little bit more density? Is that maybe talked about, or?
We've discussed it. Crossroads has their mission as a nonprofit organization. And they really weren't as interested in being a landlord.
Yeah.
And so it just decided not to go up. And then of course it increases costs as well when you go up, and as a nonprofit trying to keep the costs down. But again, the idea is across the street would be to be able to do that on working with the city.
Well, but to have a caretaker, that's slightly different tweak on it, right? To have someplace for a caretaker to live right there in the facility, so that there's always.
Right, so then if you do the land swap, then you do the theoretical like building across the street, the pantry. Wouldn't Crossroads still own that? So then they would still be technically landlords?
They wouldn't own that.
Or is it just like the city?
Looking to have it as a, for sale product.
Okay.
Is what our concept would be. And you guys wanna jump in, or you can let me hang up here by myself?
You've been here since 6, you should be
Alicia,
so
you have a
excited.
comment?
Right, that donut, I stole one of those donuts, put me to sleep.
Not stealing. Everybody, please help yourselves.
Jason?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So looking at your drawing, in the back, there's this little strip of grass on the back side of the lot. I'm assuming the bottom of this image that's up on the screen. The bottom is Indiana, right?
Yes,
Correct.
yes,
So-
Indiana runs here.
From a frontage on Indiana perspective. The more inviting it looks, the bigger it's a place to kind of hang. Could you facilitate moving it back away from the street a little bit to open up the width from the street? So just eating up that grass, we'll call it grass, the little planters in the backside, or is that, I mean, it's just, I'm just asking, I'm getting this straight. The thing is that, you know, he's talking about density and adding houses and stuff. We have houses. What we don't have is we don't have coffee shops or a place to eat or hang out or sit around tables or gather. We don't have any of that stuff yet. We have one grocery store for 20,000 people. It's ridiculous. So doing that and making a place to gather along with what Crossroads has been doing. This is, I mean, they've been great neighbors. And so I see this is a great starting place. It's awesome. But if there's any way to make it so the walkability in front of there is like an inviting place. If I can get crepes there every morning, that'd be awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't have anything like that. So I'm just putting that out there in the air.
Sophia,
I
you
just
wanna-
wanted to point out, yeah, to that point, there's about, from this point, if you can see my arrow, the building is kind of canted here to allow for a little bit more of an inviting frontage. There's almost about 30 feet of kind of pedestrian pathway, patio space, things like that here towards the front of the building. We're obviously having to maintain the city sidewalk, but there's an additional almost 20 feet to 15 feet at any point at the front of the building, because that was exactly what we wanted to create, this very inviting pedestrian feel right at the front of the building that has not only landscaping and greenery, but also places for people to sit, obviously to accommodate the tenant spaces that we would have at the front of the building as well. Hopefully that answers that question. I don't know if I heard everything, but I can show a few more images if we go back to kind of the rendering images as well, just to kind of give a feel for what we're hoping that front image, the front elevation does, because we agree that, you know, that's one of the things that we heard in the community survey, or at least read, that, you know, there needs to be some more inviting spaces for the neighborhood for people to hang out and to, you know, basically have like a community oriented space.
Alicia, and then we'll take your comment.
You can go first, because I was.
Yeah,
I raised my hand up for you. Go ahead.
Okay. I double dog dare you to utilize the crosswalk to invite people to walk right into that courtyard. If you can just open that up, maybe the retail space for a restaurant is like a coffee shop or a crate shop or a little something, but I mean, you have in city infrastructure that's like pointing directly into that lot. It'd be awesome just to like get a flow that goes into the courtyard that you're kind of protecting. That'd be a pretty cool experience, I think.
I think we're all kind of getting at the same thing, like, you've got this beautiful courtyard that's tucked away hidden where no one's gonna see it. Where you could put it right out front on Indiana, where we're all walking by, busing by, driving by, walking by. I mean, that's where it's all happening.
Yeah, tell the city to piss off when they're 90 feet.
Again, that was why we designed it as we did. We're happy to connect
These are
back,
just ideas.
connect back with the city and try to talk to them about a different look.
Yeah, just like.
I like the inside courtyard because honestly, like it's nice to not be on the street where cars are driving by when you're hanging out as well. So I think that, I mean, just that's the other side of why it's nice that, I mean, it's next to the parking lot, so it's easy to access, but I like having some street stuff, but having some stuff that can tuck away where you don't have cars. I mean, I know also we would love for cars to go slower on Indiana, but even if, even so, it's nice to get away from the traffic.
My question was, or is, what, how many businesses can operate within the retail space? Is it one,
It
two?
could be one or two, those, you know.
Could we have a Trader Joe's?
But having an In-N-Out burger. If you really want.
I don't know, the real answer is no. Can't have nice things here.
Neighborhoods are.
So, you know, it's about 2,400 square feet. It could be one big space, could be one, you know, two smaller spaces. Generally, local businesses, they can't afford a ton of rent, so the smaller it is, the more ability is for them to go in there and pay for it.
Ricky already thinks that Crossroads Urban would make a good bar name, so.
I agree, 100%. It's rolled off the tongue.
I was just wondering when the survey that she mentioned was the community survey, when did that happen? Will there be more in the future?
I think it was a few months ago. The city put it together, and I don't know if anybody here.
Yeah,
responded
at
to
the
it,
Groove
but-
in the Grove last summer, they had links, and I remember taking the survey, and they had a couple different proposals.
Yeah, they tabled a.
It was a survey to put input in creating the RFP, right? And so we're responding to the request for proposals, but the survey was informed the city, what the city asked for on the property.
Will there be more surveys or opportunities for?
We're down the road.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we'll come back here and, you know, once we, if and when we get the.
No, sorry, follow up to that, you know, like a timeline and when you would hear about acceptance.
Jeff, do you remember? I can't remember if it was, they specified it exactly, but it usually takes a few months.
60 days on the response on the RFP, 6 months, as far as working through the,
Contract. So in 60 days, we know whether we are the recipients, and then
60 days from project.
then obviously we were happy to come back and show updated designs.
So are there other organizations getting in requests for proposals or?
We don't know. I think they were supposed to come to the community council first, so maybe you could tell us that.
I've gone.
Anybody else come?
We don't just tell here, sorry. Not the kind of
We
place.
were led to believe there were 2 or 3 other organized active interests in this property. And that we were not the only one, but I think you've just heard that we're the only ones who
That's the only one.
was Side or Poplar Grove.
Right.
So if you haven't heard from them and they don't show up, then you got us.
They're at the Glendale Community Council.
And Jeff has also talked to Turner Bitten at Glendale Community Council. So.
And by the way, just to answer that earlier question, there was a presentation made in August at our community council here from the redevelopment from Salt Lake City that did the survey. So they did come to our council as well.
I remember. I was gonna see.
Is there any way to bring in like a capital partner to build some housing and get a little bit more in on what you're working on? Is that just not interesting? Because I think the RFP.
Well,
a little bit about.
And again, we're looking at housing across the street for sale housing if the city wants to go that route. But on this site, prefer not to.
Well, I assume it's because will the gates close at night, right? So like the property will basically shut the gate, like.
Well, if there's an event or something, happy to keep it open or.
Yeah,
But otherwise, you know, for security purposes.
exactly. So I couldn't really see, unless you install sort of like a mechanical gate for residents that if they were to build something.
A gated community?
Exactly. See the optics, it's not as good. So I get why.
Well.
I think part of it is that it's with the high, you can't go very high on the lot. And so the number of units that we can get is not, I mean, it's not as,
Pretty big site.
And the food bank requires a higher height than you'd have traditionally on a one-story facility, so. Sophia, how tall are we in the back?
That is correct. For commercial buildings, we can only go up to 20 feet, and for residential, we can go to 35. However, we have to consider parking. And so in order to allow for parking for both commercial and residential spaces, that limits a lot of what we can do with the building itself for the site. So even though it's a larger site, what we can actually build on it is constrained.
What's the height in the back of the building?
20 feet.
20.
20 feet right now. Mhm. And 16 at the front. And we may play with, changing that up, but right now that's kind of what we're looking at. So you can kind of see this back portion back here at 20 feet. The front portion is at 16.
We talked about rooftop. Rooftops are very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the
Structural.
requirements, so it's just, it's not, I've already put together the numbers and they're not pretty right now, so.
If we go over 2 stories, it's
Does it have to be,
elevator time.
entirely angular? Could there be some curvature to some of the architectural part on the inside, oasis type?
I'm not an architect and, don't pretend to be one, but as somebody in the real estate business, we like squares. They're more affordable, but it's.
Peter, I'd ask the question, I think this has come up, that, we really can't own the building, that the city wants to put it out on a long-term lease. And so the home ownership question would become more of maybe a co-op, kind of thing where they share the ownership of the city, and that gets us into a whole bunch of questions about how many units do you need in a housing complex like that to make it work as a co-op. And the more we investigated that, the more it just became entirely undoable, because you can't really be in control of the building and then do long-term leases for the businesses, but not be able to promise ownership to the people who would be living on the second story or the second and third story. The other thing about third story is that you have to put in elevators. If you put in an elevator for a building that's small over 3 stories, it's an incredible expense. It's in the $500,000 to $1 million expense for the right kind of handicap access. So those are all limitations. That really is a small lot. It's a half acre. And so if you take a look at the level of activity that's been designed in there, what she's done with that is give you kind of maximum square footage with some charm and a lot of hope.
Yeah, and I think to that point, I think the RFP is asking for a minimum of 8,000 square feet of commercial space. And so anything additional is on top of that. And so that already, us not wanting to do large parking lot areas for the site, we wanted to, actually have a facility that was additive to the community, that had green space, all those things, and not just be a sea of parking. I think kind of balancing those two things is harder, especially as you start to add to more components of the building as well. So to your point, Tim, I think also it's a big site, but it's not the biggest site when you have to think about off-street parking and all those things that we are required to do for code. And also for housing, you have to have 1 off-street parking per unit. So what we're showing right now is just a few spaces more than what code is already allowing for or requiring for the 8,000 square feet that we're showing.
On the renderings, it said it was the Archuleta Center.
Oh, yes, I should have mentioned that. So Archie Archuleta was one of the founding board members of Crossroads Urban Center. So they want to honor his legacy and name the building after him.
That would be hot to the community. That's really neat.
That commercial the retail space, is it just gonna be like more retail? Would it be more like a restaurant? Like, could there in theory be a restaurant there?
Yeah, yes, and our current plans are to potentially put in a grease trap. So if you have a restaurant, you need a grease trap, so they're expensive, but right now we have one in, and hopefully we can keep it in.
As I say, because that would like really maximize that space, right, where you get a lot of foot traffic, if you can get, cutesy little food something in there, people usually come, food's good, drinks good, generate business and sort of.
And so when assuming we get the RFP, then we start reaching out to other real estate brokers, or so like I already talked to the city's economic development to see if they had any folks who might want to go in there.
Yeah.
And so, at that point, we can try to start getting people into the space, because we want to design it for those businesses if we know who they are.
Yeah, that'd be swell.
Yes, sir.
I rescind my crepes. I want 24-hour breakfast.
You want a Denny's in that spot, sir? Go to 2100 South.
Eggs in the city years.
Yeah, also the cost of eggs, that's unsustainable. Absolutely. You're getting like a vegan bar and like a brewery. That's.
Or coffee.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for the presentation. Now that we're getting on to food tangents. Did we have any more feedback or concerns that we had for the Crossroads group? We're grateful that you guys are building something with that big empty lot. So we hope the best. We have no one else has presented to us, so I guess hopefully you guys get it.
Oh, you blew our cover. Come on, man.
Well, wish us luck. The RFP is due Friday, so fingers crossed.
We're rooting for you.
Thank you. I have a brother visiting out of town, so I'm gonna sneak out of here.
No worries. You were here since 6. You already gave enough time.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And with that, we just have a few moments for any public comment. Do we have any other big concerns that wanted to bring before the council? Perfect. I love that answer. So with that, our next meeting is going to be.
Can I just briefly mention my Love Your Block project?
Sure.
You already got
Oh, yeah.
It is in Poplar.
We're not, I just got a message, we're not competing, it's a different crew,
Okay.
Different.
Okay.
different crew. Yeah.
Oh, so, I also put in an application for Love Your Block and it was accepted. It's to enhance the native plant garden on 900 South. And it's right between 900 West and 800 West. It's that block right next to the 9 line. Those are native plants that were planted in the 80s.
Yes.
And they are huge specimens. The urban forester or the city urban forester said that they were the second largest specimens of native plants that in the state, other than, or collection, yeah, other than Utah State University. So we have a lot of, what I want to do is put signage there to some nice signage that can't be taken easily, and anyway, to let people know what the plants are, and also have it in multi languages. So in English, in the Latin scientific name, and then some indigenous names, because those native plants were here long before the Mormon pioneer settlers, or any of us, unless you're indigenous. So anyway, and they were cultural. They had cultural uses and spiritual uses, and so we're gonna have some of that info. Link it to a website that can be educational. And I already met with a spokesperson and a member of the Northern Band of the Shoshone Nations, who no, he created a coloring book of lots of native plants in English and in Shoshone. And it already has all of that information about the uses, and so, that was amazing. And he came and saw the native plant garden. We're hoping to have some tours with Indigenous people who have that knowledge and could share it. So that's gonna be on May 3rd. But we will plant more plants and do some cleanup and install the signs. So I think it's exciting to know that those plants were being used many, many centuries before we settled this area, you know, but then they passed that knowledge on. Like there's it's they call it Navajo tea. It's also it's also called Brigham tea because they taught the Mormon settlers what the uses were of those plants. So anyway.
And that's also gonna be May 3rd, correct?
Yes.
Yes, also May 3rd.
Great.
I don't know yet.
There was one question in chat. Andrea wanted to know the dates that you shared for the Sorenson Center, the things going on there.
The dates, yeah, so.
The job fair.
Fair is on March 27th from 5 to 7.
So a month from tomorrow.
Yeah, a month from tomorrow, and then the tax help is Mondays 1 through 4, Tuesdays 5:30 to 9, Wednesdays same time as Tuesdays, Thursdays 1 through 4 like Mondays, and then Fridays are 9 in the morning to 12 p.m. and then Saturdays are 9:30 to 1.
That's what she was asking. Job fair. I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, oh, anything else, Ricky?
I was gonna say, and the citizenship classes are every Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30.
Anything from the fire department?
It seems like you guys have been here a long time, but, how about this? Does anybody have any questions for the fire department?
Thank you.
Seeing none.
I got one,
Come on.
Sorry, these roundabouts, and how are those working out for you guys? If you guys are trying to get back streets and getting places quicker, so like 10th West was a great little way to get through an emergency, you know? Anyway.
So, I don't have any feedback on that. I used to be an engineer, so I drove for 10 years.
Right, that's what I'm asking.
I don't think that one is an issue.
Well,
Looking
I'm
at it,
saying
but
in general.
I haven't driven it in an engine, so I don't know, but I haven't heard any negative feedback from
No
that.
complaints, okay.
Thanks. Anything else? Okay. Thank you.
Just don't play with fire. Don't play with matches, kids.
You're not.
Okay, everybody, thanks again for coming out today. Reminder that we do record these and they will be up on YouTube. You can check out our website at SLC, poplargroveslc.org for all those videos and be involved. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Daniel. Aloha.